All right, welcome to another installment of the Fragments of Silicon reviews. 4 vids this week, 3 reviews, 1 impressions. The first of which is Little Lighthouse of Horror, um, a pixel art psychological horror game inspired by the Flannan Isles mystery. I have to admit, I have no idea what that is. Manage a remote lighthouse, handle limited resources, and confront eerie occurrences as isolation erodes your sanity. Multiple endings await you based on your choices and actions. How long can you last? Um, right. So, where to begin here? Trying to think. I think this game kind of oversells its narrative elements just a tad. Because this is a horror game in concept. In execution, it's kind of. Okay, let me get to what the core of this game actually is. It's a resource management game. First and foremost. And yeah, the marketing blurbs kind of did allude to that, but the majority of your time here is going to be maintaining both the lighthouse and you. And that's done by tracking all of the various resources. Now, there's not a ton of them, at least what you would at first. But there's actually a lot more than some actual survival crafting games. Now that I think about it, because okay, there's your character has 5 meters to track. Hunger, temperature, sanity, sleep, and I'm trying to remember the 5th one. Yeah, I don't think I was sure what the 5th one was. Like, I'm trying to remember offhand. I'm blanking. Let me see here. Yeah, I'm not I was never sure what the top bar was. And it didn't seem to go down all that much. But in addition to that, you've got the lighthouse, what you have to maintain, the fuel. And you have to regulate the amount of fuel you use during a period of time. And it's all contained in your logbook, which is, accessed by, on a controller, hitting the Y button. I'm not exactly sure what it was on a keyboard, but the ultimate point is, if it's light out, you don't have to have the lighthouse on. If it's normal night, you just have it on 50% power. If it's a dark and stormy night, in addition to being a writer's cliche, that's when you have to have the lighthouse on maximum blast, which is also fairly draining to your kerosene levels. And then there's the fog. And unlike a lot of games, this is probably the densest fog I've ever encountered in a video game. As in, you will have actual problems navigating the fog in this game. It's not just something to cover up draw distance. And to the point where you might want to watch your step. Because I managed to fall off a cliff. Which I suppose is perhaps the most realistic aspect of this game. Um, yeah, and also at the top of the lighthouse there is where you have your flags. Every week, the ship shows up, and you can get you can replenish groceries, kerosene. Kerosene is the most important thing there, because that's really the only place you can get kerosene, as opposed to food. You grow food right outside of your domicile. Oh yeah, and the crane here, you order spare parts for. Yeah, yeah, you get food there, and trees you chop down for wood in order to keep yourself warm. I didn't really have a problem in the resource gathering department. Once I figured out how things worked, you'll know like everything's really simple. Because while resource management is the core, is the nuts and bolts, is really the minute-to-minute stuff, it does not eschew the horror elements. Those come into play as the game progresses. Because while maintaining all of your levels is pretty easy, the first days out, pretty soon conditions will get harsher, and maintaining all of your various resources and conditions will get more difficult. That being said, there are also story elements that will play out through the course of the game. Like, for example, 2 weeks in, a couple of detectives will show up in order to investigate some murders, and things will progress from there, let's say, without getting into spoilers. If you let it. And indeed, like, if you let your sanity meter fall, like in other games which have a sanity meter, I presume bad things happen. Honestly, the sanity meter... Oh, right. In order to maintain your sanity, you have to read. Like I said, there's actually a lot of systems to take care of here. And that's actually kind of my problem with the game. Like, okay, you made all the individual stuff pretty simple, but, everything starts layering on top of each other, and it's to the point where, you're doing the survival crafting thing. That is to say, you're prioritizing, you're organizing, you've got a mental checklist. At least I certainly did. It's like, okay, this meter's down here. I got to go take care of this. Okay, it's night out. I got to go take care of the light. To the point where I'm too busy managing all of that to take in the horror elements. Like I said, I get, this is a neat concept. Execution could have been streamlined, I think. Like, that is to say, I think I would have rather have not bothered with all the resource management stuff, or, maybe have it pared down to the sanity meter, or something like that. Certainly maintaining less stuff, so I can actually pay attention to the horror elements. Because, that actually happened. It's like, okay, like the detectives want to engage in storyline stuff, but it's not on the schedule. So, and, things do they don't progress necessarily in real time, but there is time progression. So, things will have a time window. and if you miss it, you miss it. Also worth noting that there are no saves in this game. At least not that I saw. Granted, playthroughs are pretty short. That's kind of the point here. Replayability to get to all of the various endings. As far as the graphical style goes, it works. It reminds me of the Distraint games. Anyone else remember those?
I reviewed them, so yes.
Yeah. Not as colorful, but the same kind of atmosphere. And I think it pulls that off fairly effectively. And the audio is pretty good, and is all good in that direction. It's just I wish I could have taken in the ambiance of horror more instead of worrying about my character starving or freezing to death. And yeah, I think that's about what I have to say on the game itself. It works out perfectly well. It's not amazing. And controller support could definitely be better.
Also, this has some broken UI elements if you use an ultra-wide monitor.
Yeah. Because the weird thing is this game says it doesn't support controllers, but it actually does support controllers. It's just, usually when you have that, you have the, it supports controllers, but some of the glyphs may be broken, kind of warning. I don't know what's going on. And I think this game is at least on the Nintendo Switch, so it's not a surprise that this would have controller support. This is definitely the kind of game that works with controller support. Anyway, in terms of pricing, this game also clocks in at a little price of $3, $2.99. So it's very much worth a pickup at $3. Honestly, this probably could have gone at least $5 and fully justified itself. So, yeah, this was a good, solid title that lives up to its name for the most part. It's certainly involving a lighthouse. It's got horror, and it's certainly a little package. So, yeah. Anything else you guys want to add to the conversation?
Not that I can think of.
I think I'm probably good.
All right, then. So, that'll about do it for Little Lighthouse of Horror here. Be sure to tune in after the break as Petty Fan gives his impressions on Metal Thunder.